So I fussed with Excel just a little bit more, and I added in these labels on the horizontal and vertical axis. If you're with Excel, you have that option, remember in the layout tab to add axis titles, axis title, horizontal, vertical, and so on. If you're with StatCrunch, if you decide to go that route, that's fine. It's not going to give you a good title. There might be a way to manipulate that somewhere in there, but it's not really worth it that much. So if you want to copy and paste, you can shrink it down, you can change its size, you can do whatever. But you could copy and paste that line into the notes or into your Excel spreadsheets or whatever, or you can copy and paste the Excel one in there. Now the thing about the Excel one and or the StatCrunch one is it does give you the equation. They just don't necessarily write it out very beautifully. So let me write out the, excuse me, that's the wrong sheet. There you go. Let me write out the StatCrunch one just because it's a bit harder to read, so it might be to our benefit to kind of see it. So hold on. So this is what that cell says right there. Right now, what is that saying? So it's saying y is the percent passing math, which is 69.5 minus blah 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 x, where x is equal to the percent for reduced lunch. So what they're saying is, look, y is the percent that passes math, x is the percent that gets free or reduced lunch, and then the equation is right here. You kind of have to cut away that extra stuff. And there it is. Or if you like, you could say it's negative 0.2826x plus 69.10815. I'm just kind of rounding a bit there. Right? Oh, fine. I'll put them all in there for you. Right? This is more the way we're used to seeing equations. Okay? They're just kind of drawing it backwards. Now, if you use StatCrunch, you kind of have to do it in those two pieces. If you use Excel, this is one thing where Excel does a little bit better. First of all, you've got a little bit more familiarity with the menu system for manipulating this graph. You can change things like the axes and the horizontal and vertical grids afterwards, whereas this one, not so much. You don't have those options. Okay. The other advantage to this is that when you add that trend line, you make that choice to include the equation, and it's right there just like you expect it to look. Y equals blah, 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 blah. Done. Okay. So that might be a little bit nicer in this instance than using StatCrunch, but they're both pretty good. Okay. So if you use Excel, let me make this a little bit smaller so you can see it. There's the equation right there. Right? And that's the same as this equation right here. It's not any different. In fact, I'll just kind of put another one in there. All right. Now, we want to know how to interpret that value. So if you're looking at any equation and it's y equals ax plus b, or in algebra you learn mx plus b, but in statistics we do ax. But it's not really any different from each other, so don't freak out or anything. The slope is the letter a. It's the one that's multiplied. You see? It's multiplied by, if I could spell, the explanatory variable, i.e. independent variable, x. So whichever number is multiplied by x, that's your slope. Slope will always be interpreted in this way. For every increase in x, and I put x in quotes because you put whatever the variable was in that particular case. The y, and you put that in quotes because you put that in English, goes up by 1, or it could be go down, up by a or down by a. I apologize. Every increase in x by 1, the y goes up or down by a. So let's stop right there and do it for our free reduced lunch. So for every time a school raises its percent of students on free reduced lunch by 1, right? This whole percent of students free reduced lunch, that's x. I'm explaining what x is, right? The y variable, which was the percent of students who pass the state math exam, goes down by, what was our slope? Negative 0.28. There we go. You actually don't need the extra percent symbol because you already wrote percent right here. I suppose it was bad of me to do it that way. I should probably write the words. There we go. Now it's a full English sentence that says what we mean.